Hey everybody, if you're tracking an early retirement or planning to move to Southeast Asia, you need to know exactly what's happening on the ground. Today we're going to do a slight deep dive into the major news of Laos, May 2026. We've got budget shifts and a dramatic cave rescue you probably missed, but you need to hear about it because it is amazing. So let's just start off with the numbers that directly affect our wallets. According to the Laos Statistics Bureau, year-on-year inflation has finally dropped, easing down to 9% in May from 10.2% in April. If you're living on a modest budget, under $1 million, this downward trend is a massive relief. But don't celebrate just yet. Prices for day-to-day essential consumer goods and groceries are still stubbornly high. But you still need to watch those grocery receipts. So tied right into that is fuel. If you remember my April update, when gas prices were doubled and hijacked my travel budget, I traveled at the worst time of the year so far, most perfect window for the highest fuel prices we experienced so far this year. May brought some related relief for fuel prices. Regular gasoline in Vientiane Capital holding an average of around 35,000 per liter, which is equivalent to $6 a gallon. And compared to Western prices, it might sound cheap for some, but for Southeast Asia, it's a heavy number that keeps transportation costs high in the country. And if you're planning the slow travel trips through the provinces, plan this rough number in your Excel calculations. But what if you want to skip over the gas pump completely? I'm not sure it's possible, but there's an attempt to go that route. May officially marked the final month of the public free trial period for the brand new bus rapid transit system, or what they call the BRT. The city has almost completely swapped out the older traditional buses for a fleet of 55 high-tech silent yellow electric buses. They run along a dedicated 13-kilometer corridor right through the heart of the city with 26 modern stations. They even feature smart card tax payments, real-time digital arrival displays, and underground sensors. For expats trying to navigate Vientiane traffic on a budget, this is a massive win. The ultimate goal is to expand the route to link directly to Vientiane International Airport and the Laos China Railway Station by the end of the year. And I think for me, there was a period of time that it looked like more and more people were using it when the gas prices were up around $2,000 a liter or $9 a gallon. But I think that number is starting to dwindle. I don't see as many people using the bus system. And I just recently talked with a colleague who was on it, and she said it was just the traffic. People drive in the lane of the bus system when in fact they're not supposed to. So we'll see if that improves. But the biggest, most gripping story of the month happened in the remote, rugged mountains of Xaysomboun Province. If you have not heard about this, you need to look into this because this is really amazing. On May 20th, 8 local villagers entered a deep, abandoned gold mine in Pongsai district. Heavy thunderstorms and flash floods suddenly triggered a massive influx of sand and gravel, sealing the exit and trapping 7 of the men inside. One managed to escape and alert the authorities just before the flooding, or otherwise he would have been caught in there too. And no one would have known they're even in there. It's really a miracle. What followed was a harrowing 10-day multinational rescue operation. International cave diving elite flew in, including a Finnish diver of the legendary 2008 Thai soccer team cave rescue. They battled zero visibility in muddy water, literally described as swimming in hot coffee through the narrow, collapsing shafts. On Friday night, May 29th, they pulled out the first of the survivors through a terrifying 10-minute trust me dive, where a local villager who had never scuba dived in his life was tethered between 2 divers in a pitch blackness. By Saturday afternoon, water pumps had cleared enough airspace for 4 more men to walk out alive. 5 are safe. The search continues for the final 2. However, the most recent news as of yesterday in June, they're holding off because the rains have started and they're not seeing any signs that these 2 guys might be alive. But you need to look into this. So it's amazing to see what these people in the rural parts of Laos will do to survive. They're not going caving for fun and adventure. Like I've seen some videos of people dying and getting trapped. These guys are going in to try and get some money to eat. These are poor rural village people. They're trying to survive. They're not doing this for fun. So, but really, you got to see some of the video cave and tunnels they had to go through. Really, it made me claustrophobic. So now on a slightly confusing note, remember how I just told you that fuel stabilized a hefty $6 a gallon? Well, the government apparently looked at those gas prices and said, hey, you know what? We're done. In May, Laos announced a temporary ban on importing fuel-powered vehicles this year to force an aggressive, hyper-fast transition to EVs, electric vehicles. Now, I am all for saving the environment. I am an environmentalist. But if you've ever driven in Vientiane down to the rural farmlands like Atipu, like I did over BMI, idea of searching for an EV fast charger in the middle of Deep South rice paddy, water buffalo, blocks the road is an absolute comedy routine waiting to happen, or a nightmare movie. But I remember when we were looking for vehicles with my wife, I threw that out that eventually governments are going to start forcing people to purchase EVs and getting away from fossil fuel vehicles. But I don't see that adoption happening anytime soon here. They can't even force adoption in developed countries. So I don't see that happening here for a long time. They're going to try, but generally in Asia, it's throw a bunch of ideas on a wall, implement, and then see what sticks. And then we'll figure it out. So now to wrap things up on a slightly ridiculous note, if you've ever spent any time reading global travel news lately, you know, Laos is one of those off-beaten path, uncrowded, spontaneous backpackers' paradise. But the government apparently looked at those people wanting to come and find themselves and said, hey, we're going to need to know exactly where you're sleeping first before you can come in the country. So this May, the Ministry of Public Security dropped a brand new notice declaring that inbound tourist operators must now submit confirmed hotel bookings covering the entire duration of the traveler's stay, just to get permission to enter. Now, I don't know about you, but the idea of a free-spirited, slow travel digital nomad having to plan out 30 consecutive days of guest house reservations before they can even cross the friendship bridge completely kills the whole idea. But I guess going with the flow now requires a fully audited spreadsheet and receipts to show. We'll see if that sticks. So what you probably have people doing is booking hotels, having a receipt, and then canceling the reservations once they're inside. There's always a way around it. So life in Laos is constantly a reminder of how resilient the human spirit is and why this country is so incredibly unique to live in. For my fellow expats out there, budget trackers, and future EV owners, what are you paying for gas per liter or per gallon these days? And would you risk driving an electric car in the provinces of Laos where mechanics wouldn't know how to repair anything on it? So let me know in the comments below. Hit the subscribe button and follow me. Continue following me on the journey. And I'll see you in the next Chronicle. This is Choice at Winding Down Chronicles. Take care, God bless, and take it slow.